guys wanted me to stream something, so I'm streaming. I'm on here streaming. Hey, first and foremost, though, I'm gonna do a promotion. My promotion is for the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Look out for it. I will also put it in the community section so you guys can check it out. It's coming up March the 18th of this year, and you guys need to subscribe to HBO Max to be able to get it. If you're in the United States of America, there's an equivalent in your country. You have to find out the details about that, or you can get the details from me. Just ask, and I will supply it. So look out for the trailer. Look out for some other little tidbits and information. That will be that's on my other channel, which is Christ Time Disciple channel, where I do most of that stuff. So I cover that stuff there. All right. All right. Let me pull out these headphones. Cool. So now you hear me without the headphones, which is also cool. So what's happening, people? Let's talk about the topic at hand. You know, I was listening to The Zone, and they were somewhat correct about, people being jealous of success because they are successful. And I was actually discussing this topic in a forum, in a boxing forum. And it's just basically that, people are using roundabout things to put down these great fighters. Claressa Shields is a great fighter. All right, she's done some remarkable things already at the age of 25. Canelo's a great fighter. Okay, he is pound for pound the number one fighter in the world, in my opinion. Still, to this day, he's going to be fighting tonight. But when I listen to people talk about these guys, it's a very derogatory. Claressa Shields, she will have her pay-per-view event March the 5th. So check her out. That should be later on next week, which is about to turn around. So next week, Friday, which is in a couple hours, it's going to be this week, Friday. But look out for that. Let me talk a little bit about both of them. So the first thing I hear, is people say, well, Canelo cannot be pound for pound because he was a cheater, which is not true. He's been cleared of the clenbuterol charge against him. He's not a cheater. In the books, he's actually had a clean slate. They made a mistake with him. Then they turn around with Claressa Shields and they say, oh, Claressa Shields, man, she got bad attitude. She got a big mouth. She's afraid to face this fighter or that fighter. I think they're talking about the fighter that beat her in the amateurs a long time ago. Says she's afraid to face that fighter. I don't know why people think it's always about a fighter who's at the top of their game, at the top of boxing, but they're afraid to face somebody who just came into boxing or who is not as qualified as they are. All right. Now, in the case of Canelo, however, we had some duck goose things going on, right? He was supposed to face Demetrius Andrade at 154. Demetrius Andrade leaves 154, vacates his title, and all of a sudden, Canelo's fighting that guy. So that was very interesting. And then we saw with David Benavidez got stripped of his title. All of a sudden, Canelo wants that belt. So that was very interesting. And then, of course, we also know about Canelo talking about unifying the titles, unifying the belts at 160. And then when it was his opportunity to face Demetrius Andrade, all of a sudden, Demetrius Andrade is a boring fighter, he said. That was very interesting. And then also what was interesting was when Canelo was the WBC champion and he requested the franchise championship in order not to face Jamal Charlo. So there are instances where this guy has avoided fighters. Clearly, this is just what it is. He avoided them. All right. So his case is one in which we could say, oh, yeah, he did avoid fighters. And the equivalent of who he faced, okay, he faced Sergio Kovalev, was a good equivalent. But at 154, he faced what? Liam Smith. Come on now. Liam Smith, of all people. Demetrius Andrade is a much better fighter than Liam Smith, So, that's a duck goose right there. And then, of course, he now, while I can argue that Jamal Charlo is a better fighter than Sergey Kovalev is in a higher weight class. And on top of that, Sergey Kovalev has, a resume that's like blows away Jamal Charlo's resume. So you can't call that really a duck. And Canelo had options in that case, so that's passable. But the Demetrius Andrade issue, the David Benavidez issue, doesn't look good. Don't look good at all. He faced David Benavidez. Let him get back his belt. But we have Yildirim getting the chance. He is the mandatory, and is what it is. Even though Canelo's not supposed to be facing mandatories because he's a franchise champion, so he obviously requested Yildirim, which is a much softer touch than David Benavidez, obviously. But having said that, that does not take away that he is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. There's nobody with a resume like Canelo's. Nobody. Let me. The zone went through it, and I'm going to go through it as well. Canelo's resume is that Canelo has faced 15 world champions. We do not count Rocky Fielding. Rocky Fielding is not a world champion. Rocky Fielding was a secondary world champion, but he's not a major world champion. He's not the guy that you fight to become undisputed. Let's put it that way. So Canelo actually faced 15 world champions, okay? And of those 15 world champions, he faced Shane Mosley, who's a Hall of Famer, and Floyd Mayweather, who's a Hall of Famer. Shane Mosley was a bit past it, but nonetheless, Mayweather was at the top of his game. One he won, one he lost. He also faced 3 future Hall of Famers. Miguel Cotto, who's not in the Boxing Hall of Famers yet, but that's obviously going to happen. Gennady Golovkin, who is going to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. We already know this. And Sergey Kovalev, who's going to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame as well. Now, the thing about it is, and why is Sergey Kovalev going into the Boxing Hall of Fame? For those of you who don't understand, he beat Bernard Hopkins, who's a Hall of Famer. And one of the things about becoming a Hall of Famer is you beat a Hall of Famer. And then he was a very dominant champion. He won 3 of the 4 title belts. He just had Adonis Stevenson to become undisputed. He didn't get the opportunity. A very dominant champion. And then he won the title back again, the WBO championship back twice. Okay? So he is definitely a true world champion. He's proven himself. He's had a, very illustrious career. He's got some really good names under his belt. He's got John Pascal under his belt, who's a champion. He has Bernard Hopkins. He has, 3 or 4 or 5 other world champions there. So he'll go into the Boxing Hall of Fame, even though he only fought in one division. I suspect he'll go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's number 2 pound for pound champion out in the world and all that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The fact is, there's no fighter Canelo's age, and Canelo's 30 years of age, right? There's no fighter Canelo's age with a resume like that. Just no fighter in all of boxing. Okay? And that is remarkable. It's remarkable. And he has a lot more in his career to go. He's 15 world champions. We're talking about 5 future or present Hall of Famers, and he's still going. Okay? So he's going to be facing Yildirim. Now, what I said online was this about Canelo. Everybody's making a big deal about Canelo facing Yildirim, and I get where they're coming from, because circumstances, it would have been better if he faced David Benavidez, for example, right? But having said that, we talk about Julio Cesar Chavez as the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. And what I don't understand is Julio Cesar Chavez, he fought when he was world champion. I mean, he didn't even fight guys on the level of a Yildirim. He fought a guy with, 7 fights under his belt? And he was a super lightweight world champion with, at the time, 60 plus fights under his belt, okay? And he's a world champion now in his 4th weight class, okay? Third. Super featherweight, lightweight, and then super lightweight, third weight class, okay? This man's a really, and he goes back to Mexico, and he fights in a row 2 guys who don't have more than 7 fights under their belts. Okay, how does that happen? They're not title fights, but they're called stay busy fights. So let's think of this mandatory as Canelo's stay busy fight, but it's a high level stay busy fight because the guy's world class. He's not like one of the guys in Mexico who didn't make it that far. He's a world class fighter, and therefore it is a championship defense fight. And that's what it is. And not everybody's going to be Floyd Mayweather. Not everybody's going to be Pernell Whitaker or Oscar De La Hoya, who fought, once they became world champion, they fought top tier guys back to back to back. Some people are like Canelo. One hard fight, one easy fight. One hard fight, one easy fight. Apparently, that's how you fight 3 to 4 times a year, or 4 to 5 times a year. You have a hard fight, then you have an easy fight, or you have 2 hard fights back to back, and then you have a couple of easy fights after. And that was the way how it was back in the day. And Deontay Wilder was trying to do that. He was trying to have 4 or 5 fights a year, fight as regularly as possible, because supposedly the old school guys say the more regularly you fight, the better you become. I don't know how true that is, because the world has changed so much. But hey, if this is the path that Canelo wants to do, so he's wanted to fight about 3 or 4 times this year, which he probably can pull it off. You know what I mean? So because he wants to face Billy Joe Saunders in May this year. So this fight here that's happening in February, it gets that out of the way. He does his mandatory defense for his WBC title, and then he's free to face whoever. And then he didn't need to have a mandatory. This is the weird thing. His situation is really the most screwy situation ever. But going on to one more thing. So when you look at Canelo, he's accomplished quite a lot to start with. All right, he's no Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather's, back to back to back to back. And we talking top tier opponents all the time. There was no breaks. The guys proved themselves. They weren't coming off. Nobody was coming off a loss. The last guy that came off a loss with Floyd was Zab Judah, the last undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And he just lost to Carlos Baldomir. I think it was a unanimous decision, but it was still a relatively close fight. Carlos Baldomir spoiled the whole thing. But Zab Judah was, the last undisputed, welterweight champion of the world. So even though, Zab was no slouch, he was no Avni Yildirim. You know what I mean? So it was a former world champion and everything. So it's just so crazy. When you look at what Floyd did, and you compare what Floyd did to what past fighters have done, or even present fighters, it just doesn't compare. But it is what it is. People. I'm gonna go into that some other time. But when you exceed people's expectations, when you do exceptionally great things, that's what happens. All right, in boxing, that's what happens. People come down on you and to condemn you and stuff, especially if they feel they don't like you, or you beat one of their favorite fighters and they become your enemy. Just like that, people are emotionally attached to fighters. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. When Canelo beat Triple G, he beat Triple G, and everybody thought he was a diva or whatever. And so people have continuously hated on Canelo. I've seen people, in the black boxing groups, which is continuously say negative things about Canelo. And you can see that they don't like Canelo. They don't want him to be pound for pound number one, whatever, because they feel he's favored. There's favoritism for him. And in truth be told, Canelo himself, now that he is his own boss, he gets to chart his own path. We will see really what he's really all about. If it was really Golden Boy, if it really was him, he just wants to go through the easy route or whatever. We will see. Okay, and we'll see how many black fighters he will entertain and face. He's faced a couple, so we'll see. But that's up to him. Okay, but as of now, he is the best fighter out there. It's just what it is. And I think it's hypocritical for people to say, "Oh, well, he's facing Yildirim. The best fighter in the world is facing Yildirim." I'm like, yeah, so it's a stay busy fight. You haven't realized that? He's defending his title. I consider it a stay busy fight. I know it's not a stay busy fight. Okay, it's a defense, but I consider it a stay busy fight. Okay, seeing the quality of competition Canelo's faced. Now, this is the funny thing. Avni Yildirim was good enough for Anthony Durrell to face. He was good enough for Anthony Durrell to face. He was a world champion. But he's not good enough for Canelo to face. Interesting. I'm just saying. I don't prefer Yildirim over David Benavidez. I would prefer David Benavidez and face Canelo. I would prefer if Canelo faced Caleb Plant or Billy Joe Saunders or Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo. But he's facing Avni Yildirim right now. And he's going to face probably Billy Joe Saunders in May, which would be great. It's not bad. Not bad for boxing. All right. Now, with respect to Claressa Shields, Claressa Shields came on record and said, "Listen, man, somebody said, well, she's saying name fighters that could beat me, or who you think could beat me." And somebody mentioned Jake Paul, and Claressa Shields got pretty lit. She was like, listen, I would whoop his ass, okay? Because I do this for a living. I do this for a living, okay? Jake Paul don't do this for a living. I hear YouTube dude. Okay, let's be serious. Let's be real now. That's a YouTube guy. He's now getting into boxing. He's now doing things. This is what I do for a living. Then somebody mentioned Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali, and she was like, she's been off for 13 years, man. Come on now. Come on now. Off for 13 years. She's 40 something years old. I'm too fast for her. I'm too sharp for her. I know better. I'm better boxer than her. She just went through the specifics. And a lot of people hate Claressa Shields because she's just confident in her skills. Because she works every day, every single day she's working in the gym on her skills. So obviously she's going to have that confidence, because that's one thing in boxing you gotta have. You gotta have confidence, right? So when I look at Claressa Shields, when she's talking, she said she would beat Keith Thurman. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. But hey, Keith Thurman's an elite male boxer. Shout out to Asylum. Sup, bro? Apollo here. Haven't been here in a bit. Okay. Yeah. She smashed the like button if you don't mind. You're supposed to have confidence in boxing. You're supposed to have confidence in boxing. That's the first thing you need to understand. All right. And I've said this, I will say it again, and I'll say it again and again and again. Claressa Shields is a remarkable boxer, period. Point blank, period. She spars guys, she spars women, she spars, and she gets banged up and all that shit, okay? She has sparred Errol Spence, okay? She sparred a lot of people. So let's make it abundantly clear here. What y'all need to understand in boxing is, when you got a boxing mentality, you're going to do whatever it takes to be at the top, okay? And your confidence is going to improve the more you work, and you work hard. She works hard. I think she made a statement some time ago, I don't know, that she would beat Keith Thurman. Now, I don't know about that. I don't know if she would beat Keith Thurman, okay? I don't know about that. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's, I ain't know about that one. But she may say that because Errol Spence himself thinks that Keith Thurman's a coward, and he feels he could whoop Keith Thurman's ass as well. Claressa Shields is physically a bigger person in a higher weight class than Keith Thurman is. But I don't know. I can't really say on that one. That's an interesting thought, though. Would she be able to hang with Keith Thurman? Probably. Yeah, because she would be physically bigger than him, right? She's coming down from what, 168 to 160 to 154. Yeah, she's physically bigger than him. So I would expect that she would be able to deal with that situation. I don't know if she would win a fight with Keith Thurman, but I'm pretty sure she would deal with the situation. And she's a very good boxer. She's very, very good boxer. Obviously, because she's accomplished, as you see, how much she's accomplished already in boxing. But I don't know about her. I don't know about her beating Keith Thurman. I think that Keith Thurman has enough size and enough power and enough boxing IQ to beat Claressa Shields. Terrence Crawford he's a welterweight. Now, when I last talked about Terrence Crawford, he was a small welterweight, But of course, Claressa Shields will be able to go 3-4 rounds with Terrence Crawford, no doubt about it. She's a great enough boxer to be able to do that. I always said that. I don't think she would beat him, but 3-4 rounds are absolute. And Terrence is a pretty big welterweight now. He's put on some good size, and he's filled out very nicely. But she would go probably 3-4 rounds with everybody. Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, all of them. She'd probably go 3-4 rounds with them. I don't think they get her out of there. But maybe they do. Who knows? You just never know. Claressa Shields in MMA. Thoughts? She's training for it. She ain't playing around. She'll have to test the waters first before she go all the way to the top, but she's training for it. So that's interesting as well. And she and Terrence also can he do a little bit of wrestling, and he's pretty good at it. And his two boys are wrestlers, as you know. So those guys, man, those guys are serious. They serious. And I wouldn't be surprised if she does. If she goes into wrestling, she's gonna do superbly well. But she, you have to work hard at it first. So Asylum says amazing athlete, so she should get on well. Hopefully, Coach Shelton Harris, Combat Sports in the building. Shout out to you. She got to respect the MMA science, of course. She's not just gonna jump in there. Asylum says top boxers in MMA would change the game. Well, we had Holly Holmes in there, but Holly Holmes had a background in kickboxing, and then she was doing MMA for quite a while, about 10, 12 years. So, it's you got to respect the game, obviously. Coach Shelton says she can't do what she wants in a year with wrestling. Going to take her a minute. Yep, it'll take a little while, probably about 5 years. It's something down the road. She's not, or how they bring her along. Like, think of it as she has no amateur experience, but they get her in with pro. It's kind of like in boxing. You get her in with somebody who there's a skill level that she probably could handle, and let her deal with that. But because she signed up already, she signed up for this thing. She signed up with a company already, so she going into it, and she going to it strong, and she's with some good people like Holly Holm is with her, helping her along the way. So she's got the right attitude and everything. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll watch and see how it goes. Obviously, Claressa, she'll know what she's doing. She's not just going to step in there and get her ass beat. She's not that stupid. Holly Holm is great. I don't think she was a top boxer. Oh, yes, she was, man. She won multiple world titles in women's boxing. What are you talking about? She was the WBC champion. She was the WBA champion. Yep. Holly Holm was a bad motherfucker. Holly Holm's sick. For those of you who don't understand, Holly Holm was able to do what nobody else has done. Okay, she was able to win world titles in kickboxing, in boxing, and in MMA. Holly Holm is a legend. What are you talking about? Holly Holm is a legend. She'll need someone who isn't a takedown threat. Yeah, for sure. They got to start off soft, for sure. And she now learning. It'll take a while. Boxing Jam says, "What's up, fam? What's your pound for pound criteria?" Pound for pound criteria? All right. So pound for pound is a mythical thing. Shout out to everybody in the chat area. Don't forget to smash the like button. I need that this time. It's not monetary. It's just to get more attention so I can make money. Because I'm about making money. I'm a businessman. Okay, the pound for pound criteria for me. Now, I'm not really high up on pound for pound, to be honest with you. I'm not really a pound for pound person, but I'm going to talk to you guys about it because, So, pound for pound for me means pound for pound. If you and I were about the same size, okay, say we were in the same weight class, who do you think would come out dominant? All right, so that's what pound for pound is. And the criteria I use for pound is the eye test, or basically saying the skill set, how a guy looks in the ring. And then the second thing I look for pound is resume, because you could look real good in that ring against a certain level of opposition. You know what I mean? But if you are a top tier level of opposition and you don't look the same, kind of like with Triple G, for example. I like to use Triple G as a good example. Triple G looked like a fucking killer. Sorry about the F-bomb. He looked like a killer in the ring when he's going up against a certain level of opposition. But as soon as his level of opposition rose from Danny Jacobs to Canelo to Derevyanchenko, he didn't look like a killer anymore, right? He was able to drop Danny Jacobs. He was able to drop Derevyanchenko. But after he dropped them, a totally different fight, right? Right? And with Canelo, he fought him twice. Now, some people say he beat Canelo. I don't agree. Listen to me. I'm gonna tell you, because Canelo again we talking about, right? And y'all gonna feel Canelo's my favorite fighter, but he's not. Okay, but nonetheless, and neither is Floyd. Floyd's not my favorite fighter either. My favorite fighter is a guy by the name. He's a Panamanian little guy. Look him up. He's dead now. He died last year. I follow him a lot. It was El Nato, aka Ernesto Marcel. Hell of a fucking featherweight. Hell of a featherweight. He actually, his last fight that he left the game with, because he was satisfied as a world champion, he beat the great Nicaraguan fighter. What's his name? Damn it. For some reason, I'm confusing it with a Brazilian fighter named Acelino Freitas. But I know who I'm talking about. He beat the legendary guy. That's the same guy that actually the Hawk, Aaron Pryor, beat. He was the I think the second or third guy to beat, or first guy to beat that dude. Give him his first loss. I think it was something like that. But anyway, back to Canelo. So Canelo, right? I always thought Canelo beat Triple G the first fight. Okay, well, let me explain to you how simple it is for you to think about it. Triple G had every single advantage you could ever have to facing a smaller guy. Okay, Triple G had the height advantage. Triple G had the reach advantage. Triple G had the strength advantage. Triple G had the power advantage. Triple G had the size advantage. And still Triple G can't beat Canelo. He can't dominate Canelo. Right? I always say that. First fight, he didn't even stun Canelo. Not, and at the end of the fight, when you look at the fighters, you wonder, did Canelo even fight a fight? And then you look at Triple G and you think Triple G was in a war, because Canelo was tagging up Triple G all the time. He's a tough dude, don't get me wrong. Canelo was tagging his ass up the whole entire fight. That's why when people tell me about Adelaide Bird's scorecard, me, Jeff Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Sr., we all agree. We agree that Canelo outboxed Triple G. Yes, he faded in the latter part of the middle rounds, but then he came back in the 12th, right? So, yeah, okay, so you can give Triple G 9, 10, 11. You can give him them 3 rounds, right? You can definitely give him those 3 rounds. Those were his rounds. But the 12th round, you can't give him the 12th round. That means Canelo win all the other rounds. That's 9-3. That's Adelaide Bird's scorecard. Okay, you want to say 1 or 2 of the rounds was close because Canelo wasn't throwing a whole bunch of punches all the time. But every time Canelo did start to throw, he threw combinations, 4 or 5 punch combinations. So, okay, he's staccato, but he's staccato with combinations. And of those 4 or 5 punches, 3 of them landed. Triple G's constantly keeping that jab going. Okay, he's keeping the jab going. But how much of that jab is effective? How much of that jab is an actual jab where he's actually knocking back Canelo or something like that? Very few. And he followed Canelo around the ring. Canelo making laps around the ring. Triple G not cutting off the ring because he can't. He don't know how to. Okay. Second fight, worse than the first. Canelo's actually walking this guy down. Smaller guy walking you down. Canelo's angry. And he's engaging with him and he's walking him down and landing combinations. Yeah, Triple G catches Canelo with 1 or 2 shots, but for the most part, Canelo's catching, blocking, weaving, dipping, slipping, all that shit. You've seen what he did to Callum Smith. He was doing that to Triple G, okay? It wasn't as blatant as he did to Callum Smith. He beat Callum Smith's ass, but that's what he was doing to Triple G, and he's got it. Of course, he's much better now. So, that's a perfect example of when you step up in level, let's see if you look as good as when he was fighting guys who was average, or they okay fighters, or they good. You know what I'm saying? Or they just simply shouldn't have been in the ring with you. Right? Some of them. So I'm just saying that is what we saw with, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat because I need to address your questions. That's what we saw, Boxing Jams, with Triple G. You know what I'm saying? I like to use Triple G. Don't get me wrong. Triple G is clinical when it comes to how he puts his punches together, how he intelligently works behind his jab. Okay? Don't get me wrong. He is and he should be a Hall of Fame fighter. Okay, but here's my thing. My thing is he don't look as good when he starts to step up into the real level. Those fights with that fight. Well, what do you expect? He's in top. There's top tier guys going against top tier guys. What do you expect? You understand what I'm saying? So Terrence Crawford looks great, for example. He looks great, but what level of competition is he facing right now at welterweight? We know in the lower weight classes he was facing some top tier guys, right? Let's not fool ourselves. Victor Postol was a top tier guy. You know, that's how he became WBC champion, right? And did he knock out Victor Postol? No, because Victor Postol was a top tier guy. However, he knocked out not Endam. What's the guy's name? What the hell? Why am I confusing Endam, Hassan Endam, with this other African dude? But he knocked out the African dude, right? Why? Because he was a floor fighter. Okay, he reached with his punches. Y'all saw what Valdez did to the fighter Burchell. Burchell reached with his punches, right? As by the way, if you guys haven't checked out Boxing Jams, you guys should check out Boxing Jams. He really is good at what he do. You know what I'm saying? So check out Boxing Jams because he broke it down really nice. Yeah, Boxing Jams says Terrence Crawford knocked down Postol twice. Yeah, he knocked him down twice, no doubt about it, but he didn't stop him, right? Because conditioning and a lot of other things. Because Postol technically is a pretty good, technically he's a very good boxer. He's very sound. But you know, Terrence got that extra flavor in him, so he can switch it up and catch you with that hook. He loves to catch you with that right hook. So yeah, when your pound for pound criteria, the level of opposition, in my opinion, counts for something. And then the second thing that counts is, of course, how you look against them, how you perform against them. Your performance against top tier competition tells us how much above them, how many levels above them you are, I think, in my opinion. So if you just blow out a top tier guy, like if he didn't exist, it could be that you just got a good punch, you know, and like Deontay Wilder, you know, you stop a guy because you got punching power, and you knock out as you look for the right moment, and boom, right? You may not be the greatest boxer, okay, fine, but you're still levels above that guy. Unfortunately, because of your guard gifting, but you're still levels above that guy. You know, that guy's not still competition to give you enough problems to expose the fact that you're only depending on your power. And we saw Tyson Fury expose that, right? Tyson Fury showed that Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 1 and 2 gives us a perfect example of what I was talking about with Canelo versus Triple G. Except Deontay Wilder, he succumbed the second time, right? So the first time, Tyson Fury, he's fighting him off the back foot, right? Circling the ring, whatever, doing his boxing thing, right? Wilder catches him, he drops him, right? Good. Gets back up in the 12th round, drops him again. Hard, right? Tyson Fury gets up from that. And what does Tyson Fury do in the 12th round? Starts walking Wilder down. He's walking his ass down, beating him up, walking him down. So what does he do in the second fight? The very same thing, right? Canelo did the same thing to Triple G, except he couldn't get him out of there. Triple G's a tough guy. And he was bigger too. So Tyson Fury was a bigger guy, right? So what I'm trying to explain to you is Wilder was doing well with a certain level of competition. But as soon as he stepped up to the plate, to the higher level of competition was Tyson Fury, once he stepped up to a guy who knew what he was doing in that ring, knew where he was positioned in that ring, Tyson Fury, all of a sudden the ball game changed, right? So level of opposition is important. And so you get guys knocking out everybody, left, right, and center. They look spectacular, look incredible. But once they meet an opponent who either style-wise is just a problem for them, or there are levels above them because their boxing IQ is different. It's much higher. That's when we get the truth out of the situation. Are you going to mow that guy down? Probably not, right? So it's not just your God gifting. Your God gifting and the power you have in your hand and being able to implement that power is not enough. You have to have all-around boxing skills so that the pound-for-pound fighter, generally speaking, has all-around boxing skills, generally speaking, I said, They generally have all-around boxing skills. They can do a multitude of different things. They're versatile, and that is why a pound-for-pound top fighter, generally speaking, this is what it's all about. It's about somebody being able to handle every single style, or all, a variety of styles at least, and someone who can face a variety of levels of opposition and perform very well. So that's what I think pound for pound is, in my opinion. Let me see what the other person says here. Asylum says, I'm talking Terrence Crawford level boxers. You can't think female boxing competition matches up at all. I'll say this so you understand. Claressa Shields just be blowing through the female competition. Okay, she blowing through them. All right, it's not like it. Yeah, she ain't knocking them out, but she's blowing them out. All right, it's like these are not close fights. I think the closest fight was against Hannah Massey, and she still blew out. Okay, so Claressa Shields, man, you know, she's something else. I'm telling you, man. Well schooled, double gold medalist. This is not your run of the mill. She's a prodigy. And again, from Flint, Michigan again in the house, the Midwest. You know, the Midwest bring the best boxers out there. And she is the creme de la creme, man. I mean, she could do a crossover fight, like I said before, with, you know, maybe somebody, you know, and maybe in a low weight division. She may have to be the bigger of the two. But, you know, she would hang with a lot of professional male boxers. Oh, absolutely. Not the top tier ones, but she would hang and probably beat a substantial amount of professional boxers. Of course. You know, but when you talk about the creme de la creme now, when you're talking the creme de la creme of the boxers, I don't think she hangs with those guys. Because not only, see, women's boxing still hasn't, in my opinion, hasn't yet developed to the point of where men's boxing is in terms of all the subtle things. And she knows some of it, but she doesn't implement it all the time. And, you know, Canelo gave her tips on, for example, feinting before she throws her punches. Canelo would talk about the feint, the freeze them, and those kinds of subtle things. And she don't have that all the time. And so, you know, that's the thing about Claressa Shields. You know, when you're talking about guys like Crawford and Thurman, she ain't beating them guys, man. She ain't beating them. Them guys got knowledge, you know, and application that's on another level. You know what I'm saying? But with respect to women's boxing, she's dominant, and she would beat a number of male boxers, not at the creme de la creme level, but, you know, and not in her division. Like, she ain't surviving nobody. 168, 154. She not going up against Jamal Charlo and surviving. Okay, so like, you understand what I'm saying? I want you to understand. We not talking about the same weight class. She fight a 140 pounder. You know, maybe a certain 147 pounders, not the creme de la creme. You know, that kind of thing. But you know, it's good for her to fight bigger guys, spar bigger guys. You know, spar bigger guys. She would get knocked the fuck out. She fight a 168 pounder or 160 pounder. Look at the 160 pounders. We got Jamal Charlo. Wrecked. Right? He would destroy her, right? Demetrius Andrew would just beat the shit out of her, right? And so we're not talking about 160. We're not talking about 168. We're not talking about 154, okay? Because at 154, we got Jamel Charlo. And then we got the Argentinian kid. They would kill her. They're too big, too strong, right? And they're too skilled for her. They're just way too skilled. Like, they do all these other things that so we're not talking about them, right? But if you drop the weight classes enough, you know, 140, 147, all right, they're supposed to be smaller. They're supposed to be smaller than her, right? So when she rehydrates up to 170 something, 160 something, 170 something, right? Those guys would be round about her size, a little bit smaller. So not as strong, hopefully, as the 154 pounders. 154 pounders, we talk about Jarrett Hurd. You can imagine her facing Jared Earth. Oh, he'd kill her. So we're not talking about them guys, right? Lara would destroy her too. So we're talking about the smaller guys. You got to get her because she's big. She's big. She's big and strong, and she's big for a 154 pounder. She's a big 154, huge 154 pounder, right? But at the welterweight level, those guys now, they got to get it all the way down to 147, right? They probably walk around 180, but when they rehydrate to like 150 something, 160 something, right? So when they rehydrate on fight night, exactly. So she would be probably bigger than them when she rehydrates. She rehydrate up to 170 something, 170 something, right? So she'd at least be weight wise bigger than them, right? And so she could absorb the punishment a lot better because the bigger you are, you could be a bigger target, of course. Absorb punishment better when you're bigger, physically bigger than the smaller guys. And she's fit and she's in shape and everything. So those guys. Now I'm not talking about but she has already sparred Errol Spence. She sparred Errol Spence. So that when you move down that level, because she basically Claressa Shields should be at 160. Okay, she's really supposed to be a 160 pounder, right? So she probably comes in 175, maybe 180, right? But on fight night, she probably come in 170, 175, 170, somewhere there, right? So she's big. She's physically big, right? So that helps the situation. That's why I said when I was thinking about it and balancing out all the equations, I'm thinking about everything that goes into it. That she would be, big enough to handle guys who are physically smaller than her, but more skilled than her, more than likely, and still at the same time be able to be effective against them. I don't see her beating any of the top level welterweights. She's not beating none of them. But the point is, she could at least hang, spar, that kind of thing, I'm not saying she would beat a top tier welterweight. I'm not saying that. I won't go that far. Pacquiao probably mess her up. And Pacquiao's a small welterweight. Assam says, yeah, I think Claressa Shields and people like Katie Taylor are great. Yeah, Katie Taylor, but Katie Taylor got her ass beat by that girl twice, I think. I was just talking about Holly Holm, though. Holly Holm, man, she's legendary, man. She's legendary. She was what 2-time world champion, 3-time, 4-time world champion, I think it is. But Holly Holm is good, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, she's not a Claressa Shields. She wasn't, but she was legendary though for her time. And then, like I said before, she's able to dominate 3 different divisions. And I believe Holly Holm was a welterweight champion. So she was able to be a world champion in boxing. She was a world champion in kickboxing, and she was a world champion in MMA. That's 3 different disciplines, and she's still striving. I mean, she's getting her ass kicked these days, but she's doing good and bad, as it is. Amanda Nunes was a beast, but she went up against Amanda Nunes, like a true champion. You know what I'm saying? She ain't afraid of nobody. She ain't backing down nothing. So, gotta give her props, man. Legendary. You talk about these legends. You're talking about Canelo. You're talking about Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields is early in the game, so if she keeps on this tear, she probably be one of the greatest, to ever she is already. She's a GWOAT, but I mean, really like one of the greatest to ever do it, because she's on a trajectory that's just crazy. Kind of like on a Lomachenko trajectory, except she's better than Lomachenko in terms of her record. So when you look at Claressa Shields' record, it's impressive. I think there was some ranking that they did where they said that Canelo, looking at male and female. Richard Phoenix, what's up? What's up, Richard Phoenix? Richard Phoenix in the building. Shout out to everybody who came into the building. I think they was talking about, pound for pound. Happy weekend to you too, brother. By the way, shout out to everybody who is supporting the Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm gonna put it out there since all you guys listening to me right now. Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming out March the 18th on HBO Max. Do get your subscription, check it out. There's a trailer on there. You can check it out. Really cool. Well, go on HBO Max and check it out. It's really good. And it's the movie that we as fans petitioned for, and we're going to get it. Watching live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Shout out to Malaysia. Shout out to Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. Shout out to Malaysia, man. Wow, that's the other side of the world. Yeah, man. I'm all the way in the West Indies, bro. I'm in Trinidad. So I'm on the other side of the globe. Good to see you guys, man, from all the way over to Malaysia. Yes. Yeah, so we're just talking about legendary people today. And we need to appreciate what we're seeing today. Yes, don't get me wrong. Sometimes boxers duck other boxers, but if they face each other in their careers, then it's not really it is a duck, but at least they face each other. You know what I mean? I remember the legendary Riddick Bowe ducking Lennox Lewis. You know, everybody was ducking Lennox Lewis, to be honest with you. But legendary Riddick Bowe ducked Lennox Lewis, and I was like, man, that sucks. You know what I mean? But what I'll tell you guys is that legendary fighters, you know, when you see somebody special in your era, appreciate them. Don't be hating on them. Okay, the top guys. We got Tyson Fury, friggin' phenomenal. Okay, we got Anthony Joshua, phenomenal. Okay, some of y'all like Deontay Wilder, phenomenal, right? For what he could do, his skill set. You take the top guy like Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol. Look at the superheroes we got. We got David Benavidez, Canelo. Man, we living in a time, bro. We got Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, Triple G, friggin' Jamal Charlo, you know, Jamel Charlo. Look at the champions we talking about. They real champions, man. Patrick Teixeira just got his ass beat by what's my boy's name from Argentina? Give me the name of the guy from Argentina that beat Patrick Teixeira. Give me the name of the dude. Shout out to all you boxing fans out there that follow boxing. Forgot his name. Brian Castagna. Brian Castagna. Shout out to Brian Castagna. Yeah. These are the bad motherfuckers, man. They bad. Sorry about the motherfucker. Screw it. Bad motherfuckers out there. You know what I mean? You think of Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao ain't the champion anymore. I think it's Dennis Ugas. He got the other belt. He got the WBA, now super champion. Dennis Ugas is out there now. So you see, he's gotten his respect and his reputation. Look at that. He become world champion. Look at that. You know, we got Thurman Pacquiao out there too. Then we got Jose Ramirez holding down 2 straps. And we got that British dude. Tell me, what's the British dude's name that hold down the other 2 straps? Y'all remember what his name is? I forgot his name. I forgot his name. Come on, somebody tell me who that guy's name is. Come on, man. You guys follow boxing or what? Who's the other champion out there? The British dude fought Regis Prograis. I'll move on to the next division. Then in the lightweight division, we got Teofimo Lopez holding down 3 of the 4 straps. Devin Haney holding on the next one. But we also got some other superstars like Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Vasily Lomachenko. Wicked division, man. Come on now. Super featherweight heating up. You know, we got, just recently there, Oscar Valdez dethroned Miguel Berchelt, right? We got Gervonta Davis down in there. We got Shakur Stevenson down in there. We got JoJo Diaz, who lost his belt on the scales, but hey, we got Tevin Farmer down in there. We got my boy, what's his name? I keep on forgetting this dude's name. I can see his face, but anyway, he's the WBO champion, right? Shout out to him from Top Rank. Forgot your name, bro. I don't know why I forget your name. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then we got the featherweight division. right? Got the featherweight division, got the super bantamweight division, got the bantamweight division. No, I think in the super flyweight division uh we're gonna have Chocolatito versus Juan Francisco Estrada. Look forward to that. You know what I'm saying? We got names, man. This era is bad. It's just to see the names face each other, and of course, when COVID settled down, we're gonna see more fights because there'll be more fans back in the stadium. But we gotta kind of ride through it and get what we can get, you know. But yeah, we got names out here, man, and we got fights. We got fights, and we as fans, we this is how we can approach it and get the fights we want, right? What we got to do is just keep talking about the fights we want. We don't need to be negative all the time, but we need to say, "Hey, man, I'm dying to see this fight. Oh, this gonna be a good fight. We want to see this fight. Oh yeah, this is a good fight." You know what I mean? That's what we just need to be doing over and over again. Talk about Teofimo Lopez, man, landing that big deal with Triller. Oh shit! I hope Triller buys him out from Bob Arum. You know what I mean? Because that's Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson want to see those fights happen. And under Mike Tyson, Teofimo Lopez might face the people who he's supposed to face. You know what I'm saying? They need to buy out that contract from him, and Mike Tyson need to promote Teofimo Lopez and make a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? Make real mega money. You know, mega money. You know, Tyson's doing good with the weed factory, so we gotta hope and pray for the best. But I hope that Triller buys out Teofimo Lopez's contract from Bob Arum, and Teofimo Lopez can really shine and blossom, with Triller, and then probably later on have his own promotional company, call his own shots. You know what I mean? Because obviously Oscar De La Hoya wants to see these fights. Maybe you buy out Ryan Garcia from his contract with Golden Boy too. Because Ryan Garcia ain't getting the fights that he really want to get. You can see Ryan wanted to do some things, but you can see that Golden Boy is kind of holding him back because he wanted that Pacquiao fight. He really did. And it was available, but, Golden Boy blocked it. I feel Golden Boy blocked it. Ryan frustrated a little bit, but we're going to see what will happen. We're going to see what it's going to be. We're going to be what we're going to be. Everybody talking about Ryan ducking. I don't see a ducking bone in these guys' bodies. Like, I don't think Ryan's going to duck Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis. It's his promoter that sometimes fuck it up and be like, nope, slow the roll down, young one. You could get deals made or whatever, but we're not going to certify it. It's that kind of bullshit that we got to deal with. When people really want to fight and they really want to do what they want to do, but because I feel like them boys will rumble. But yeah, we talked about legends. We talking about Canelo. We talking about Claressa Shields. How people always give them negative talk. I never quite understood that. You know what I mean? Unless they being fake about it. Like, if Claressa Shields say this person ducking me, but really she ducking the person. Or Canelo, like how he ducked. But what's the one thing about Canelo? He don't say they ducking him. He don't say, oh, well, they ducking me. Nope. That's one thing. He just keep his focus and keep on moving. But he got to face Jamal Charlo. He has to face Demetrius Andrade. You got to face them dudes, man. Them dudes be with you since 154, and you ain't mess with them. So he's got to step up and face those guys. And then you got you and David Benavidez' weight class. You better face him too. So anyway, this is what you need in the building. You guys got a lot from me. It's almost an hour you got from me. I've been busy all day. I also been promoting other things, so I'll be in here for a brief minute. You guys, I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Any other questions you guys got for me before I get out of here? Rich Phoenix, man. Asylum. Boxing Jams. Coach Shelton Harris is Combat Sports. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming through. This is a stream. The next time I come through streaming, probably tomorrow, I will want you guys to know that you can hop on as guests and actually talk on my stream, the next stream that I have. So you guys could roll in. I'll have a set of topics and stuff. You roll in, just make sure to mute your mic Make sure you be respectful, and that's all to it. And I'm gonna let y'all guys run. I do less talking. You guys will do all the talking. I just did it with my Snyder Cut stream where I have the other people just talking away, and I'm saying very few things. I'll let you guys do the talking. And if there's any topic that you guys want me to cover, just put it in either the comment section, or if you want to mention it in the chat right now, you can do that. So I'm gonna catch you guys later on what you need out of the building. Hope you guys have a blessed week and a blessed day, or night, shall I say. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.